Hi, I'm Alex and I want to welcome you to our online course about video production. I've been working with Now for 25 years and we've come a long way. From print, through event marketing, via websites and social media, to digital content and videos. I personally love videos. Why? They give us this amazing opportunity to be in touch with our customers 24/7. We can stage our product, we can let them look behind the curtain and even interact with them through live streaming. But as always, it's challenging because there's a lot of competition going on. So we need to ensure that we have the best possible quality. In this online course, I want to provide you basics such as lighting, composition, equipment, how to use it and where to get it, and tips and techniques in front and behind the camera, with the goal to ensure that you are all set and that you feel comfortable in front of the camera. By the end of the video, you'll find a link. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you need help or support. We love to help you. And now I hope that you have loads of fun. Welcome to our online course, which we called Fashion TV. It's an exciting topic. It's all about how to produce a high quality video and great images. Photos you could use to announce your live stream and to do the follow-up afterwards via posting or email newsletters. So in the following hour, I will introduce you to some basics such as lighting, perspective, 2 useful tips, the necessary equipment, and all the requirements for a good live streaming. I want to make sure that you can shoot a great live stream without any hassle, and that you will be able to achieve the best possible quality. So let's get started with one of the most important factors for a good video, which is light. So let's start with an example. You see the same pictures in 3 different settings. The picture on the left side is underexposed. It is way too dark. The solution could be that we add light and/or adjust the settings of the camera. The right picture is overexposed. It is way too bright and we can't see the color of the skin or any texture. We would have to adjust the settings in the camera as well or dim the lights. The middle picture is just right. No matter what camera you use, if it is a smartphone or a reflex camera, make sure that you get familiar with its settings. Even in smartphone apps you can adjust aperture, ISO and exposure. An awesome way to influence light is by external light sources, which I will explain to you now. To use light conceptually is one of the most amazing things a photographer or videographer can do. In this example, you are able to see the dramatic effect of one light source coming from the left side. As the other half of the model's face is shaded, the photographer is emphasizing seriousness and drama. So the number of light sources and their adjustment are crucial for our lighting design. The most common way to use light conceptually is the 3-point lighting setup, as it gives us the chance to play with light and shade in the best possible way. Let's have a closer look. Usually we need 3 light sources from 3 different angles. The key light, a fill light, and a backlight. Each light source fulfills a very important purpose. The key light is the main light source in our light design. It is the brightest light. In a natural setting you could imagine you had influence where the sun comes from. You put the camera in front of the object and usually put the light in a 45-degree angle slightly from above. So this example shows how it would look like when there would be no natural light, and how it would like if you put only one key light in action. The fill light fulfills the purpose to fill up the scene with a soft light and to reduce shadows, just as the name says. You can imagine its intensity in a relation from 2 to 1 up to 4 to 1 to the key light. The rule is, the wider the relation, the more drama. So Hollywood uses sometimes even 8 to 1 or more to create a dramatic effect. Usually it has even filters such as light boxes or a iced glass shield to make it softer. So if you take our example, you can see that we now have a more balanced light design. The key light from the right and a softer and bright light from the left. It looks still dramatic though, as desired, as we still have shade and contour. Last but not least, we got the backlight, which is optional, depending on the light situation at the location and your personal goals. It comes usually from behind in an angle between 15 and 45 degrees and therefore highlights the object. It is usually quite bright and direct. If we look at our example, you can see that the contour around the head is way clearer now and that the picture looks even more three-dimensional. But like I said, it's optional. Another way to make a picture look three-dimensional is influenced by the depth of field. It defines the relation between our motif and its background. As you can see by this example, the left picture is entirely sharp, which makes it look very clean. The right picture is way more cinematic. Only the nose, parts of the hair and the bracelets appear sharp. The background and even parts of the foreground are blurry, which causes a more dramatic and highlighted effect. It's probably the better option if you, for example, sell bracelets. So with the depth of field, you influence if your motif is in focus or not. Basically, it defines the area of the photo that is sharp and focused. Depending on where you are and what the background is, you need to change your settings. The closer you usually get to the object, the smaller will be the focal plane. Check it out with your smartphone. Switch to portrait or macro in your camera app and get closer to an object. The closer you get, the more blurry the background will be, which, as desired, guides the eye to the object and its details. If you have a good camera, you can adjust the settings and your hardware to create the desired result. If you want a deep depth of field, you would probably choose a lens with a short focal length and would adjust your setting for a small lens aperture. So the result is a picture where everything is sharp. If you want a cinematic look, you choose the low depth of field and actually do the opposite, a low aperture and a lens with a long focal length. Another factor for a great photo or video is perspective. Every perspective has its special pros and cons. If you shoot and edit a video, it is smart to switch them to make the whole thing more exciting and entertaining. Normal perspective is on an eye-to-eye level. The motif is in focus. That's what you see very often. It's the one that comes naturally to us. We use close-ups or macro perspective to show details. If it is blossoms or insects in nature, or the details of a product, such as fittings, stitches, quality. The bird's eye is a great perspective for collages or laying goods. The Neville perspective is the most used one in fashion photography. If you have been to a shooting, you probably saw a photographer crouching down. That feeds the purpose of bringing the camera to the level of the belly and create a stronger look. Panorama and long shot are great for landscapes or big spaces such as trade fairs, huge stores or cityscapes. The medium long shot is actually a fake. We see the background, but the focus is on the object or the motif in front of us. The frog's eye view is a very dramatic view. Here the photographer crouches down as well, but usually we see people or buildings, architecture, and the perspective upwards makes it look dramatic. The creative perspective is a perspective you know from holiday pictures. It's kind of loose and doesn't really have like a foreground or a background, but it's very sympathetic and smart. And there are many more different perspectives. You can try them out. It is actually very joyful to play with the camera and play with perspectives. As you play with perspective, you can try playing with composition too. In this example, you see the same picture with the same motive, but two totally different effects. The left picture is more like an overall impression, a lifestyle picture. The right one is more about fashion, the product and its details, such as quality. We can see print, patterns, style, so only the composition makes the difference. The moment you stand behind the camera, you may ask yourself, what kind of story do I want to tell? What is it all about? How can I make it exciting? How can tension be created? What is important, what is not so important? And are there any details I want to show? In a video, of course, you have the opportunity to zoom in, for example, from lifestyle to detail, or zoom out from detail to lifestyle, which is an amazing opportunity. When we create a composition, we aim for harmony and balance. You may have heard about the golden ratio. It's a common term for designers, artists, photographers, visual merchandisers, and who hasn't heard about it may ask what it is. It is about the position of the main motive and its relation to the background. So if you look at this example, you see the skier coming down the hill, snow is gushing, but the skier is not in the center of the motive. He's placed a little bit on the right side, and that has a purpose. So here you can see what the golden ratio is. It's actually like a grid with two sections, a bigger one, about 2/3, and a smaller one, which is about 1/3. We see many examples in nature that follow the golden ratio, like the proportions of leaves, trees, even the human body. It makes everything look more exciting and gives us the feeling of harmony. Many cameras and apps give you the option of a grid view. And that's why. If you take photos or shoot video, place your motive a bit to the left or a bit to the right, and you'll see more harmony and eventually a better look. So the last topic of our photo and video basics is about the challenges of indoor recording. You may have made this experience yourself when you tried to shoot your product before. We step into a little store or a department and feel totally disoriented. There are so many distractions, like other brands, racks, signs. So how to deal with space? These pictures were shot in a very small room with a lot of distractions. The solution was to get a little bit closer, finding 100% messages, such as themes and topics, and to focus on them. I think the result is not so bad. So when you shoot indoor, you need to make a decision about the right perspective. It's all about finding a vanishing point, for example central or lateral, maybe even put in the golden ratio, or frame your picture by focusing on a corner and using the two walls as a frame. That helps me to let the space even look bigger. So try which perspective works best for you before you start shooting. Before you get started with your indoor shooting, think about what story you want to tell. This is a great example from a video. First, we shot an overview in the corner perspective, so the viewer can see the whole theme. Then we pan over the product in a close-up and end in an emotional approach with a stage product and a lot of styling and details. The blurry background softens the impression and helps the eye to focus on the product. So, it's a whole story. So, enough about the basics. It should be enough to get you started. Let's move on to some tricks you should consider before you push the record button. So I have a few tips for you for the preparation, the filming and the editing afterwards. Let's start with the preparation. Make sure that your camera lens is clean. This may sound a bit funny, but imagine you set up a shooting. You've got your models, your assistant. You cleared the area, did all the effort for great visual merchandising, set up the lights and shoot for 3 hours. Then you go home and sit down on the editing screen and recognize that there is a fingerprint all over your footage. Wouldn't that be annoying? I can tell you, it happened to me. So please check all your lenses and clean them. Then you want to check your camera settings. Make sure that the resolution you shoot with is minimum Full HD. That means a resolution of 1920 pixels wide and 1080 pixels high. The more pixels a picture has, the sharper is the image. Even good smartphones provide you the opportunity to shoot in Full HD. Good cameras even give you the opportunity to shoot in 4K. You may consider this. The great benefit of shooting in a very high resolution is that you can zoom in afterwards without losing any quality or pan the picture. So you can set your camera on a tripod and can fake zoom and movement afterwards, which is pretty cool. Another important setting you may consider is the frame rate. The higher the frame rate, the more pictures are shot within a second, so your footage gets more fluid. The eye doesn't really see the difference between 25 frames a second or 60 frames a second. YouTube, for example, screens with a frame rate of about 24 frames a second to save data. But if you want to edit your footage afterwards and get the idea that a slow motion would look pretty cool now, you will be glad that you shot in more frames. So you can do stuff like that afterwards without losing any quality. Then make up your mind about the right format. Most devices and platforms screen in landscape format, such as YouTube or footage on Facebook that you would watch on your computer or your tablet. So if you shoot in a portrait format because you think you may just use it for an Instagram or Facebook story, but get the idea that you want to put it on YouTube as well, then you get these ugly black bars to the left and the right, which make your footage look amateurish. If you want to spread your footage via all channels, then you may even consider shooting in both formats. I think one of the most important tips for preparation is that you get used to your camera and your equipment. I find it really stressful when everyone who is involved is on the set, and then I need to browse through the menu of the camera, or even worse, read the instruction manual. It's way better if you have some routine and know what you're doing. I started all by myself at home and tried several things before even considering to get other people involved. The more you know about setting your camera and your equipment, the more comfortable you will feel, and the more fun is the shooting. Another part of preparation is to actually plan the shooting. What do you want to show? What should be in focus? Which story do you want to tell? Which details matter? Usually, I close my eyes and imagine the video I want to shoot. And then I write it down, scene by scene. For every scene, I write down what I need, which props, what kind of equipment. It's like a little screenplay. I think it's fun and feel a little bit like a director. In action, you may consider some more tips. One of the most important is that you don't shake, so try to hold the camera with both hands. What helps a lot is when you press your elbows close to your body. It steadies the camera immediately. Try not to pan with your arms rather than with your whole body. If you exercise a little bit, you can get pretty good results with this technique. Even better, use a tripod if you have a steady shot, and the gimbal if you want to shoot movement. Don't worry if you don't know what a gimbal is. You will learn later when we talk about equipment. And now it's the time to shoot a test video. Check if you have the right exposure and if your camera settings are right. when you start shooting, be aware that you should be careful with movement. The more movement, the blurrier the footage. That doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't move, but don't move too fast or you will regret it when you check the footage afterwards. And of course, if you do a live stream, then your audience sees the blurry pictures immediately and loses any detail. Use the basics we talked about. Focus on the subject, pay attention to the background, your perspective and the golden ratio. And keep the background noises as low as possible. If there is music that would appear too loud and distract the audience, or traffic noise due to an open window, then it would lower the quality of your live stream. I will give you some recommendations about the right sound equipment later, but make sure that the environment isn't too noisy, because even the good equipment records it. If you don't have a camera with a lens with an optical zoom, then you shouldn't use your digital zoom rather than moving physically towards your motive. Abstain from zooming in digitally, or your picture will lose quality, as you can try with spreading your image on your smartphone. If you get passionate about it, then you may even consider to get into editing. By using software and apps such as Filmora Go, which is for your smartphone, or even professional software such as Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, or Adobe Premiere Pro, you can do a lot of amazing stuff. Shorten your clips and focus on what you want to tell. Merge several different clips from different perspectives into one video, and you'll get an awesome result. And you can also adjust exposure and color afterwards and use arty color filters if you want. But be careful, sometimes less is more. Maybe you have some favorite music videos or YouTube videos. No one needs to reinvent the wheel, and it's great to get inspired. You may also add music which is more dynamic, but be aware of copyright and licensing such as GEMA in Germany. There are awesome platforms for free licensed music on the internet, or platforms where you can buy the license pretty cheap, such as audiojungle.com or bandsound.com. It's not the charts, but you can browse different categories and find really well produced tracks which will do the deal and support your creative idea. So enough about the tricks. I hope you got something out of them. Before we move on, we need to talk about something crucial, and that is equipment. No matter if you shoot with a smartphone, which is totally okay, hence the quality is very good these days, or you shoot with a proper camera, you will always need something that steadies the camera. You need good sound and, of course, good lighting. The first gadget I want to introduce you to is the photo tent. It's very practical and easy to handle. You can get it in different sizes and use it for great product shooting. So let's move in. As you can see, we have the perfect light setup for our product. It comes with LEDs, they are super easy to adjust. And I can even choose warm or cold light in the various intensity. So it's very easy to stage the product in a way that fits its style. You can access the tent from the top and the side, so it's easy to shoot the product from different angles. So it's a pretty nice gadget to get great results without any hassle. Do you recognize this movie? It's Stephen King's Shining by Stanley Kubrick. So, this is a Steadicam holder. Stanley Kubrick invented it especially for The Shining to get these awesome steady moves. We use them to get action into our movies, to pan over the product and make it more vivid. There are many elegant solutions to get steady shots, and that's what we're aiming for. Do you remember that I mentioned gimbal before? It is the more advanced and sophisticated gadget in comparison to the Steadicam holder. So almost a Steadicam holder 2.0. It works via 3 axes and balances the camera. You only need to attach your camera and the gimbal will balance it out. It is a great gadget to do these awesome camera moves and slides without looking shaky. So when you walk or you need to lift your arm, it will always balance the camera out. Everything will look smooth and almost shot by a professional camera guy. So a gimbal is a very useful and handy tool. It makes shooting way more fun. Depending on your requirements and if you want to use it with a smartphone or a camera, it actually starts from about €100 up to more than €1,000. Look out for the ones with the food stand. Then you can use it as a little tripod as well, which is even more interesting when you get the more advanced ones. With one of those, you may even save an assistant, because there are a few models which come with functions such as face recognition, time-lapse and tracking. So you use them remotely via smartphone app, put them on the table and step in front of the camera. Even when you move, the gimbal will follow you, so you can do your moderation without needing someone behind the camera. You may use them to stage product as well. The very contemporary approach to show product is to get close to it and slide or pan over it. You may have seen this in food videos. The gimbal guarantees you very steady and cool movements. Another topic we already mentioned is sound. It separates the men from the boys or the women from the girls to get a good sound into a video. The internal microphone of a smartphone or even a high-profile camera doesn't usually do the job. It would only work in a very quiet environment without any background noise. There is a huge difference between outside shooting and indoor shooting, between an interview situation or a lifestyle shooting. As you are aiming for live streaming, you don't get a second chance to work with sound afterwards. So the solution is an external microphone. Depending on the situation, it may be a directional microphone. One of those are put on top of the camera and fade out any noise that would be outside of the point they are directed to. If you want to move a bit around, a clip-on microphone may be the better solution. It is connected to an adapter via cable or a radio signal and ensures that your audience is hearing you and nothing else. If you shoot outside, you may consider buying a windshield. Because even if you think it's not very windy and you don't recognize any wind noise, the microphone will. We made very good experience with Rode microphones. They have mics for cameras and even smartphones. For the latter you may need a TRS to TRRS adapter, but if you Google them you may find some for less than €10. When we talked about the basics, we talked about the 3-point light setup. So as promised, I want to recommend a little investment in light equipment. We highly recommend that you buy continuous LED lights. Why? They are quite reasonable, from approximately €200 to €300 as a set, and usually include 2 lights. They are easy to handle. It's basically just plug and play. And you can easily dim them and even adjust their light temperature, which means make them cooler or warmer depending on the effect you are aiming for. If you shoot indoors, they are good enough that even 1 or 2 light sources should be enough to achieve a great video quality. Very often they come with soft boxes. You should definitely have 1 or 2 of those. As the name says, they soften up the light to avoid light spots or a reflection of your skin, which may save you a lot of powder and makeup. Furthermore, they avoid hard shadows. Last but not least, I want to introduce you to the LED light ring. It's one of the favorite solutions of many influencers because it's perfect for close-ups, portraits and beauty shots. The camera is attached in the center of the ring and therefore the light is directed to the model in a holistic way. But in my opinion, you are more flexible with the 3-spot solution. So much about the equipment. I wanted to show you the best value for an affordable price. But of course the range is endless. So if you're interested in professional equipment, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We'll help you find the best solution for you. And before we move on to Barbara, who will show you how it works in front of the camera, I want to introduce you to the most important aspects about live streaming. So, let's go! So let's have a closer look on the topic of live streaming, about its meaning for the audience, for you as a brand, how it works, and what do you have to be aware of. These days you couldn't imagine social media without live streaming. It is a great opportunity to meet your friends, potential fans, and to interact with your audience, live. But what does live mean? Why would you decide to go live? On the other hand, an important question is, what drives the audience to watch the live stream? Those are the questions I want to talk about with you now. So what does it mean to your customers? First of all, it gives them the opportunity to experience you and your brand in a comfortable way. And with comfortable, I mean that they don't have to travel. They save time. They can do it from wherever they are. And it's accessible for them. And of course, and I guess that's the purpose of the Digital Fashion Week, these days it's about safety too. The coronavirus changed our working routines, enabled home offices, live meetings such as Zoom and Skype, and makes live streaming one of the most interesting ways of getting in touch with our customers without physically seeing them. People appreciate your big stage, as I may call it, too. They get to find out more about your company and the people behind it in a very interesting way. And don't forget about the exclusivity of being part of something which is streamed live. It's this very moment and then the opportunity is gone. That's why people pay a lot to sign up for the exclusive right to watch soccer games live, for example. Furthermore, the live stream has way more authenticity in comparison to a produced video. It's honest and real. That's why even little mistakes are actually appreciated, because it makes the experience even more real. And of course, don't forget about the element of interaction when people can ask you questions, like what you were doing, and see other people watching them doing it. For you as a brand, it is even more interesting in terms of your marketing strategy. To include live streaming into your communication mix is a very contemporary approach to reach your customers. It still seems innovative and trendy. When you do it via social media, it's a very effective and efficient way to acquire a new target group and immediately get in touch with them. You get the great opportunity to reach several people and learn a lot about them. If you analyze the comments and interact with them, you will learn a lot about their wishes and needs. Via social media, you will increase your reach and the interaction rate. Treat it as a part of a campaign. Topic, announcement, exclusivity and desirability, live streaming, and then the follow-up by showing your customers the presented goods in high-quality image shots, which you need to post immediately afterwards. When everything is set and works out, then you measure your success not only in likes, but in turnover. To put it in a nutshell, what is required? Take care of the right lighting situation. Check out the sound situation and take care of interference-free sound by using an external microphone. And it is very important that you check your internet connection. It should be stable and have enough bandwidth that you can be sure that the video is transmitted without any breakups. The audience doesn't like that very much. Run 1 or 2 tests before going live. Maybe you want to put a little bit of effort into an appealing atmosphere. Some good visual merchandising. Check on the tidiness and everything that could bother the eye in the background. Maybe you want to present your brand using a logo wall. I usually find a lot of inspiration on the YouTube channels of the usual suspects, the well-known influencers in your region, or some benchmarks from the field of your competitors, or from other fields. Then you want to be prepared about the team in front of the camera. Usually, everything gets more vivid and real if you have a moderator, a counterpart, such as an expert, designers, or department leaders. Maybe you want a model to present your fashion. Barbara will tell you after our little unit more about that. Behind the camera, you will need a camera operator, maybe even 2 or 3 if you want to shoot from different positions. But you should have done a couple of simpler live streams before you aim for that, because it takes a little bit of experience and the software to cut the input live. Furthermore, I recommend to have an assistant for time management and immediate reaction to the audience via the chat function. If you do everything right, your audience will be pleased to hang on and will enjoy your live stream. So, that was a lot of information. I hope you got something out of it. But you got everything you need. You got the basics, you got the knowledge about the equipment, where to get it and how to use it. You got the tricks and techniques to provide a real great live stream. And don't be shy about it. If you feel a little bit insecure, shoot a video first and then do the live stream. We talked about everything that happens behind the camera. Now it's Barbara's turn to tell you everything that happens in front of the camera, which means how to engage with your audience in the best possible emotional way. Enjoy it. Thank you for having me, and like I said in the beginning, don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions or need our support. We're glad to give it to you. I wish you all the success with the Digital Fashion Week. Thanks for joining our training. Until next time, goodbye.